What?
This better be fucking good.
This is Dear David. So my grandfather recently died. Not that's a great way to space between grand and father. Not unexpectedly, might add. At 81, he had a good run. Anyway, my mum and I had to go to his house and grab anything we wanted to keep before the cleaning crew came in to clear it out. Wait, cleaning crew? Like fucking exterminators, like burning everything?
Nah, like actually, you know what?
Like the guys from No More Heroes who get rid of the dead bodies.
I guess so. I guess they just assume we're in paper.
During the process of searching through his bedroom, I came across his box of military stuff, most of which belonged to his father, my great-grandfather, who had died in the Second World War. I had fond memories of this box. My granddad would tell me stories about the photos and letters inside. How much was truth I can't say because he wasn't in the war. Nevertheless, it had kept me entertained as a young kid. As I began to look through the box, the memories came flooding back, every letter intriguing, reminding me of his story, until I came to one letter, postmarked Oct 1944. There's no period, so it can't be a shortening of October. It appeared to me another letter from my great-grandfather to a man named David, who I believe might have been his brother. But unlike the other letters describing the worn conditions, this was different. As I read it, I realized my granddad had never shown me this letter. I'm still unsure what to make of it. The letter is as follows. Dear David, it's almost 3 weeks since my two friends Howard and Johnson went missing, and I can't keep this to myself any longer. Someone needs to know the details in case something happens to me. Normally, I would just blame the Krauts, as they are the cause of most of my missing soldiers. However, this is different. It started around a month ago when my men started reporting finding these black leather-bound diaries while out on patrol. Of course, we were occupying a town. It's not uncommon finding things like these around. However, these diaries were odd. The diaries contained names of my soldiers, scrawled on the inside cover. No other writing, just the name, and then after a certain date, the pages seemed to have been ripped out. Putting it down to the enemy playing mind games, I ignored the reports, thinking that maybe they were just writing common names in them to unnerve us. I remember hearing from HQ they had used mind games before, like hiding soldiers' helmets in pieces of glass to reflect light in windows and woods to look like snipers. However, what set these diaries apart was that over the next few days, they started to appear around the city. Now, I know my lookouts are tired and sometimes half drunk, but surely even they would notice someone getting that close. The other thing is, no matter how many of these things we collected, burnt, destroyed, they would appear back the next morning. I don't know who put them there or with what intention, but there they were, and they were having an effect on some of my troops. Many, including my friend Captain Howard, who after finding a diary with his name in it had claimed to hear whispers when no one was around. Howard was also plagued with dreams, where he was lost in a wasteland and a voice on his radio would recite the time and date of his death over and over, until he would wake in a cold sweat. He never told me the date of time, but on the 22nd of August he went on routine patrol and never returned. His good friend Captain Johnson, who he had known since childhood, was naturally distraught. The loss of his friend hit him hard. I had to abandon the search after 5 days, and he became very angry. At this point, he must have felt the only thing to do was continue the search himself, as he was leaving the city the same day with a rifle and standard-issue kit. 3 days later, around dusk, a lookout spotted a figure walking out of a thick fog that had come down during the day. He had returned, but something was different. His eyes were vacant, he had pale skin, he had none of the kit he left with, apart from the ripped and blood-stained fatigues, whose blood remained a mystery as he had no visible injuries and wouldn't speak. He just followed me like a small child. He refused food and water. I say refused, it was as if it was foreign to him, like he'd forgotten what to do with it. Over the next 24 hours, he did strange things. He broke every mirror and medical area he was kept in and drew all the curtains, preferring to sit in the dark. I insisted 2 men watch over him. A couple of days later, I awoke to one of my men banging on my door around 5 a.m. "Sir, there's been an incident," he said. I arrived at the medical area around 5:15 a.m. A crowded... What the fuck? 5:15 a.m. A crowd had gathered around the house that was our makeshift medical area, all staring at the blood still dipping from blown-out main window. I walked inside through the recently broken door. Inside, it looked as though someone redecorated using machine guns and body parts. There had been a fight. Bullet casings littered the floor, as did the remains of my men. He was nowhere to be found. Had he escaped the fight? Was he taken away? All I know for sure is that the day after he disappeared, so did the diaries in the fog. Then one morning, after no patrol finding a diary for just over 2 weeks, I was presented with one found on patrol that morning. I could tell from the patrolman's expression before I even opened it, and there it was, smeared in black ink on the inside cover. I quickly flicked to the back. The last page was October 15th. Today is October 14th. Charles. Credit to DMD. That's it. It's a bunch of diaries, and it predicted their deaths, and then they died. And the last one was hit, and he's gonna die tomorrow.
Oh.
This has been done before. It's fucking Death Note. Did anyone else think of Death Note? I mean, a black leather journal with names written on it? Then who was Kira? I thought of Death Note. I like EL.
I like EL.
That was actually the first thing that came to mind. I, for one, unfortunately, Cartoon Network is the only station on the television. Is that how it's pronounced? What the fuck are you talking about?
On the television?
You can't be like, how is that pronounced when you're like typing it? That doesn't make sense. Commenter. Terrified me mostly because my birthday is October 14th. That shouldn't terrify you. The guy died on the 15th. The story just happened to take place on the 14th. I thought of Death Note as well. He's a vampire.
He's a vampire.
I am not lying. I am not joking when I say that my name is David and my brother's name is Charlie. I don't care if you believe me or not, but I just want to say that this was very creepy to me.
Is their birthday October
Nope.
15th?
Their name is David, and their brother is Charlie.
Too long, couldn't read your comment.
He was a vampire! Multiple exclamation points. I don't get any of this. Death Note. I love this. Nicely done. Hardcore Death Note fan here.
Gotta get that hardcore Death Note.
I never watched Death Note.